Alright, hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we are going to be looking at the M48A2 Räumpanzer. At least, I think that's how you say it. This tank is quite interesting, and that's why I wanted to make a video on it. Not only is it a new tank that will be coming out probably in the next few months here, but it has a literal bulldozer strapped to the front of basically a 59 patent. Now this is a German tier 8 medium tank, and it is very interesting, and that's why I wanted to make this preview of it here. Should be a premium tank. I'm not sure when it's going to be released, but like I said, it's a tier 8 and German. And let's just go ahead and look over the stats here. So 1450 HP, kind of your standard tier 8 medium HP, DPM of 2500, which is not half bad, 210 millimeters of penetration, 225 alpha, and a reload time of 5.4 seconds. Your premium is going to have 260 millimeters of penetration, 190 alpha. Your HE will have 45 millimeters of penetration and 270 alpha. So the gun looks pretty decent on this tank, not looking too bad at all. Decent DPM, good reload here. Decent-ish pin. I mean, it's not like anything great or anything like that, but it does seem to be a decent gun that, will work for you. Now getting down to the gun handling, we have a base aim time of 1.63 seconds here and a dispersion of 0.326. So dispersion is a little bad. Base aim time should be decent though, so those will kind of balance each other out to, not a half bad accuracy on this tank. So your gun depression is going to be 9 degrees on this tank with an elevation of 18 degrees. So you have a lot of gun depression on this tank. This tank can really get its gun down. 9 degrees is a lot, especially for a tier 8 medium tank. I'm not sure if there's anything above tier 8 with 9 degrees of gun depression that I know of. I'm trying to think right now. I think the only stuff with that much or more gun depression are lower tier down tanks, stuff like the Stur-Emil, the Nashorn, the let me try to think. There's some low tier tanks that have like 16 degrees of gun depression. It's like ridiculous. But yeah, that's a lot of gun depression, so that's going to be helping you out a lot on the battlefield. In terms of mobility, it isn't the fastest tank out there. 42 km/h top speed, 18 in reverse. So you're not going to be moving around the battlefield too quickly for a medium tank, which we'll have to see, the armor profile and stuff to see if that, gets compensated with armor profile and stuff. And that's pretty much it. None of these stats matter too much. So if we now move down to the armor profile of the tank, we can take a look here at the armor profile, and you can see that bulldozer, of course, is a bunch of spaced armor. The mantle of the tank as well has a ton of spaced armor. It does have this hatch here, though, which is very vulnerable. That's not how you say that word, I'm pretty sure, but whatever. So this is basically, like I said, a 59-ish patent, kind of a little bit different here. Obviously, this is a different nation. It's a German tank. With a bulldozer strapped to it. Now, obviously, tanks actually had these, in real life to clear out paths for troops and other vehicles and stuff like that. So it's a quite interesting thing, and I think it's kind of cool that they added it on here. In this right here, it looks like it's floating. That's kind of funny. But yeah, so let's go ahead and look at the armor profile of the tank. So just going straight on here, even through the spaced armor here, you're only looking at about 170 millimeters of pin. Or not pin, armor, sorry. But it is going to protect you against heat shells and HE shells, of course, on the front because it is spaced armor. But other than that, you're probably not going to be bouncing too much. You might bounce a few odd shells, or if you're at an angle like this, you might bounce some, even not really then. If they shoot over here like they think they can pin here, they're not going to pin that. And stuff like that. So you're not really going to be bouncing too much on your lower plate here where the bulldozer is. The bulldozer really looks like it's more protection than it is. I wish it was more protection. I think these big chunks of metal should be very protective. I think that would be a really cool thing for Wargaming to add into the game, but then obviously make the turret a little weaker. So kind of right above your bulldozer here, you have actually a very strong area of armor just because of how sloped it is. You're looking at 250 millimeters to 300 right there. So decent armor right there where it's pretty sloped. And then you kind of have this gun ring around the turret here. That's about 170 millimeters here. So that's going to get pinned most of the time by most tanks. Now the side of your turret here, this is where the armor starts to get a little better. You have 226 millimeters. Here you're going to be bouncing quite a few more shells than anywhere, down on the lower plate. This has enough pin to be bouncing most mediums, light tanks, even some heavies and TDs if they hit you at the wrong angle. As we move in on the turret, you're getting to even more armor, 277 millimeters, pretty nice armor, strong armor in the tank. That's going to bounce pretty much everything that comes your way. And then, of course, you have this massive gun mantlet on the front of the tank, of the turret here. That is, of course, going to bounce everything, so you really don't have to worry about that. That kind of protects your old tank. Now, there is this strip of lighter armor up on the top, so it would seem, but with that angle up there, it really isn't that light. Still 250 millimeters, 300 and 500 even right there on the side, so you're not going to worry about that too much. But, of course, they're not going to be shooting at that area of your tank, because they're going to be shooting at this massive hatch. Now, this hatch is a little bit of a, like a, man, kind of ruins the armor profile frontally of this tank, because this tank has very good armor, decent armor, on the front of the tank, other than this massive hatch here with like 100 millimeters, 90 millimeters. Really not going to be bouncing anything from this tank. But yeah, other than that, you got pretty good frontal armor. If we're looking at gun depression here, using that impressive 9 degrees of gun depression, we get out to an angle like that. Obviously, you're not really even going to be able to see this because it's going to be below the ground mostly, but you're even going to be up there at around 300 millimeters. Here, your turret, 270. On the sides here, 250. Your center area of your turret, 300. And, so you're really going to be pretty much impenetrable here, except for that big fat hatch. So you're going to be wiggling your gun, doing this like this to try to get those people to miss that hatch, because otherwise they are definitely going to pin straight through that. Now, the armor of the side of the tank, here on the front, it's around 100 millimeters, and here in the back, it's only around 50 millimeters. So, you will be shot by HE a lot in the back here, the side of your tank, but the front you should be clear from mostly, except for maybe, like this. If you got a real high caliber gun, they might be able to pin that. This little ring, though, around here is around 150 millimeters around the entire tank, so you might get a troll bounce on that every now and then. Don't aim right there if you are shooting at the side of the tank. And now, of course, the side of your turret is very weak as well, only around 70 millimeters of armor right there. The rear of your tank is very weak at only about 30 millimeters of armor. 37 right there, so that's HEable by everyone, and most people as well. Quite a few people can HE the back at the turret here, only 68 millimeters of armor. So yeah, that is pretty much the Räumpanzer, however you pronounce this here. I think this is a pretty cool and interesting tank that Wargaming is adding to the game. I always think it's neat whenever they add these, different tanks where there's, something unique about it. Obviously, this isn't the only tank with, like a Bulldozer in the game. We have the Vindicator with it as well. But that tank isn't really the best out there. We'll have to see if this one redeems the Bulldozer quality of the tank or not. Obviously, the Bulldozer doesn't really add that much protection to the tank. I mean, it does add some, you get some more armor, some spaced armor, but don't, rely on that when you're out in the battlefield, like, oh, I have a massive Bulldozer on the front of my tank, I'm going to bounce everything, because that's really not going to help out here. But I think this tank is decent, as long as it doesn't come for an absurd price, which, of course, it will just come in crates. We all know this, unfortunately. I might even try to gamble for this tank, just because it's a cool, fun-looking tank. But I think this is a pretty neat tank, not half bad gun, decent armor on the tank. Unfortunately, just that big hatch on the tank. But yeah, obviously, like I said, a little bit slower mobility, but most the 59 patent type tanks kind of have that slower mobility. So yeah, that's pretty much the Räumpanzer for you, everyone. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys don't know, I do have a giveaway going on currently right now for 3 months worth of battle passes. So you can go check that video out. That's the video I uploaded right before this one. If you don't want to, if you want to go check that out as well, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.